I'm going to show you that Israel have been lying about what happened on October 7th, and I'm going to do this using their own media and sources. The claims Israel have been making are not only outrageous, but contradictory, and Israel have been using them to justify a Holocaust against Palestinians. Now, Israel first claimed, without any evidence, that Hamas not only killed but beheaded babies.
But I'm talking to some of the soldiers, and they say what they've witnessed as they've been walking through these different houses, these different communities, babies, their heads cut off. That's what they said.
This was a lie. No babies were beheaded, no babies were killed, and Joe Biden, after he repeated Israel's claim, immediately had to walk this back. Israel claimed that Hamas had put babies in an oven. Once again, no evidence. Ben Shapiro tried posting some ridiculous AI computer-generated image as quote-unquote proof before people spotted that it was a fake. And this lie, it works because the Nazis did these kinds of things to Jews and other persecuted people in Europe. But the Israelis think that they can abuse the memory of the Holocaust and make up lies about Hamas that way. Well, I'm sorry, but Arabs are not the ones who carried out the Holocaust, so don't try to bring up what is European behavior and then accuse Arabs of doing that. Arabs don't behave like this. Oh, and by the way, while we're on the subject, let me show you something that is true. An Israeli soldier once took a Palestinian baby and threw it inside an oven.
في الفرن والنسوان قعدات على الأرض وكل واحدة قاعدة وحاطة إيديها على راسها هي وبقولوا للفران ارمي ابنك بالفرن ارمي ابنك بالفرن اسمه حامد. قال له أنا ما برمي ابني. قال له شوي. هم ضربوا الحاج حامد على راسه ومسكوا الولد رموه بالفرن. أنا شفت هالمنظر. شفت هالمنظر ما تمش فيها حيل من مرة. يعني بعدين مسكوا الأب حطوه وراه قالوا له الحق ابنك. أنا اجيت عديت قلت هلا بيمسكوني قمت أركض.
Everyone is throwing around this rubbish claim that Hamas raped women, but can't produce a shred of evidence to back up this insane lie. I mean, just think logically. These highly trained fighters who are so disciplined and well prepared that they paraglided in, they took the Israelis by surprise, made them look like fools. They did all of this just so they can rape people. That's their military objective. 1 second they say Hamas are these religious extremists, they're dedicated Muslims who would never do this sort of thing. And then the next second they accuse Hamas of behaving like street thugs. Where's the evidence of this rape? There's no evidence. Israel made up another wild accusation that Hamas burst into Israeli settlements only to start randomly shooting at civilians. But now we know that's not exactly what happened, is it? Listen to what an Israeli woman, an Israeli hostage who was there that day, said in her own words.
הטרוריסטים ירו בהם?
לא. הם נהרגו מהחילופי ירי, תבין שהיה חילופי ירי מאוד מאוד קשים.
זאת אומרת, יכול להיות שזה כוחותינו ירו בהם? כשניסו לפסל את החוטפים, את החמאס.
הם חיסלו את כולם, כולל בני ערובה. כי היה שם חילופי ירי מאוד מאוד קשים.
איך כולם נהרגו?
מהחילופי אש.
מהחילופי אש, כלומר, יכול להיות שגם זה מאש כוחותינו?
חד משמעית.
So this Israeli woman is saying that she saw with her own eyes Israeli forces shooting at Israeli hostages by accident or whether it was the Hannibal Doctrine, doesn't matter. She says this is what happened. She says the Israeli forces fired indiscriminately at everyone and they even used tank shells. This is very important because rounds from a tank would explain the scale of the destruction and the burned bodies. Israel was saying, look at these burned bodies. Hamas killed people and burned them. Well, it turns out that's a lie. Once again, hear it from another Israeli in their own words.
We made a mistake. There were actually bodies that were so badly burnt, we thought they were ours. In the end, apparently, they were Hamas terrorists.
Now, if you listen to Israeli and Western media, you would get the impression that every Israeli killed on October 7th was killed by Hamas. That's not true. Look at this drone footage, again, published by the Israeli army, showing how the Israeli helicopters were indiscriminately firing at both Hamas and Israelis at the Nova festival. Just like the Israeli tanks fired at random in the Israeli kibbutz, in the settlement. An Israeli paper called Inet quoted a squadron leader in the Israeli Air Force who told his helicopter pilots on October 7th to, quote, shoot at everything. Israel used 28 attack helicopters that day, and they fired every single round and bullet they had on board. And just last night, third confirmation. The Israeli paper Haaretz, citing an official report by the Israeli police, confirmed yet again that Israeli forces had shot randomly at people attending the Nova festival. Look at this video and just ask yourselves, how could Hamas possibly do this with a bunch of AK-47s? This was done with Israeli drones, with Israeli attack helicopters, and they're admitting that. And once again, just think logically. We know that Hamas' objective was to take hostages so that they can free the 10,000 Palestinian hostages held by Israel. What good would it do them to kill hostages? How would they exchange hostages that are dead? Now, Israel came up with this claim that Hamas specifically came on October 7th to target civilians, right? Just for the sake of raping them, just for the sake of killing them. But that's not true. Hamas targeted military installations. The Israelis themselves are saying now that Hamas didn't even know about this festival in advance, and that at least half the people killed on October 7th, if not most of them, were in the Israeli army. Not civilians, they were in the Israeli army. Israel published the list themselves, with all of their ranks listed next to their names. After October 7th, Israel said that it wants to eliminate Hamas, but all it's done so far is kill thousands of children, and the deadliest lie that Israel told was that Hamas, supposedly, had a command and control center hidden somewhere underneath the Al-Shifa hospital. Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, even posted some cheap computer animation showing tunnels and rooms underground. Well, where are they? The Israeli forces invaded the hospital days ago. All the proof they found were a couple of Kalashnikov rifles, so old that they're probably antiques and could have easily been planted by the Israelis themselves. When the Israelis allowed the BBC reporters to come and film, suddenly there were 2 rifles instead of the one they had shown us hidden behind the MRI scanner. Did Israel plant another rifle there on purpose to make it look more sinister?
And what we see in the 2 videos doesn't precisely match. For example, there's 1 gun in the IDF video, 2 by the time of the BBC footage.
Even the BBC, who usually peddle Israeli propaganda, are now questioning, all of this so-called evidence. Another ridiculous lie was this calendar. Yes, a calendar. Israel claimed that this scary calendar was a schedule for Hamas fighters to supposedly take shifts, babysitting Israeli hostages. Well, it's not. It's just a simple calendar with the days of the week written in Arabic. Do they really think people are that dumb? The Israelis think they can just point at something written in Arabic and then everyone is going to believe that this has something to do with terrorism? That's racist. This entire circus was all a lie to justify Israel's war crime of bombing a hospital, the largest hospital in Gaza, where people had sought refuge, where there was no more medicine, no more electricity because of Israel. Patients in intensive care died as a result. And unlike those fake beheaded babies that Israel was talking about, real, actual premature babies died in Al-Shifa hospital because of Israel. Where's the media sympathy for them? All these lies that Israel have been telling are psychological warfare and propaganda. These lies are not only outrageous, but designed to dehumanize the Palestinian resistance and the Palestinian cause. Israel know that people in the West are easy to manipulate because they're emotional, they're gullible, and Israel relies on Islamophobia, which has been so prevalent in the West since 9/11, for people to just, swallow its lies about Palestinians and Hamas. So ask yourself this: why believe anything the Israelis have to say? They have a track record of lying to the Palestinians, the United Nations, the whole world, and even lying to their own people. If Israel can lie about all these things, then what else are they lying about?